All right, that's fine. So, my name is Laurentiu. I've been in sales for like 23 years, I guess, if I have to count exactly. Um, I was very fortunate to join a company in Romania called ePayment back in 2003, which has become, at that time, has become the market leader in payments, in online payments. And then from that product, we created another product called Avangate, which was a subscription billing platform, which became eventually one of the top 4, I would say, subscription billing platforms in the world. Well, that until Stripe came up. Um, and so I had a lot of time to make a lot of mistakes, right? And hopefully I've learned a little bit from all that. And in the past years, I, um, I started doing some consulting work, trying to give back some of the learnings that I've had, scaling a business from a couple of employees to a couple of hundreds, and from my €2 commission, that's what I always say, to almost $100 million ARR. And what I do right now, I'm focused on sales process optimization in my consulting work, in AI automation, and I'm trying, like most of you or many of you, to create a product, because consulting is, not that scalable. So this is just a quick view of the things that I'm working on to improve. I cannot claim that I can solve each and every one of them, but my principle is to bring progress to people. So these are the challenges that I've noticed from my own experience, as well as from the experience of working with sales leaders or founders of companies, from having the strategy, talking about the ICP, and that is the key one that I've noticed on and on and on, because people are not focusing on the folks that they should buy, they are in the mood to buy, and they have the profile to buy. And because of that issue, everything derives, all the problems are based on that core issue. And I'm not going to keep you on that. I'll just speak with my friend from Nario, a cool startup. And I'm not going to go through his deck. I'm going to let him go through the deck and give you the background of his startup and the product. And then we will talk about one or two of his biggest challenges and try to address that in a conversation right here. So, Mircea, please come up. Because I don't think I can do the deck as good as he can. So I've limited this to you, all right?
Now it's my moment, okay. So, thank you very much. Nario, it's an AI sales content platform for IT services, and it's helping with the feeling, and I remember what Mario said previously about the feeling that people need to have. And try to imagine you're doing a sales meeting. After the meeting, you'd have to do follow-up. And instead of follow-up, you have anxiety because you don't know what you're gonna send to that person to help him make progress and buy the product. And I appreciate what you said with the ICP, because before we thought that as other founders that we believe that everyone is our client, and now we figure out that only IT service companies can help us grow and build this product, and it's especially for them. So do we have IT service people in the room? Okay, so we're going to have a discussion based on that. Good. Let's go forward. Or do you want me to go through the deck?
Very quickly.
I believe that one thing you need to remember, and I need to get to the last slide. I don't know how to push it. Can you get to the last slide? Thank you very much. What we are doing, we are ingesting company knowledge, sales team knowledge, and through our agents, we tailor everything from documents, emails, messages, and strategies to help long sales cycles go through this process to obtain these results. And we are doing this because we truly believe we help those people make things more faster. And one of the things that we understood from sales and doing discovery is the fact that those people have this big challenge of personalizing each document, because in long sales cycles, you have this problem. Everyone wants to feel special. because you're selling to someone who says, no, my context is different than yours, and I need to feel special. So because of that, you need knowledge, you need to understand, you need to put quotes from them, and so on. So this is Nario in a nutshell, and this is the process that we tailored into a platform.
So Mircea, just very quickly, if you could point out the 2-3 problems that you're solving.
The main problem is the follow-up, but hyper-personalizing the follow-up for each sales deal.
Okay, so by the way, that's one of the traits that I've seen the most in sales teams. So there are the good sales reps that are performing really well. Those that are not performing, one of the things that are lacking, like very quickly you can focus, you can find that out, is the lack of follow-up.
Yes.
And the better sell, let's say the slightly better seller than those ones are those that are following up in a very generic way. So I relate to what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's a challenge that we figured out that most of sales leaders have when they have their teams and they need to, have that control of the documents they are sending for follow-up. Because most of the time, salespeople will sketch something and try to send it to the client to make the follow-up faster, but in that case, they probably have compliance issues, they have brand issues, and so on. So those problems for the VP level, the area of control, it's quite hard for them.
Okay, so if that's the case, then what is your biggest challenge right now?
One of the biggest challenges at the moment is to create urgency in the sales process. Because one of the things that we are doing, we are setting the stage, we understand the problem, but we can't trigger at the moment the implication to help them understand that this is a must in our world, because in IT services, as I shared with you, most of IT companies, they bleed a lot. Like, they can't sell people at the moment, they need to sell value. So they need to sell proof of value instead of the people skills.
So when you say you cannot create a sense of urgency, in which situation and in each step of the sales process you face that?
I believe that one of the most unreliable expectations that I have is to close pilots from first meeting. Like going into first meeting with you, telling how amazing is Nario and expecting for you to start a pilot, and you don't because you have a committee.
Okay.
And that's a bad expectation from my side.
Okay. Now, the other question for you is, so you said that as an industry is ITC services, but you didn't mention, is it like the smaller companies, is the mid-market or enterprise? What exactly you're targeting?
We are going now to 100, 200 employees, because to get that number of projects, you need 2-3 BDRs in the company.
Okay. The reason I'm asking this, obviously, the way, you would consider how they buy, not how you sell. So that's the reason why I need to know, besides the industry, how large is the company?
How you understand how they buy? Like what are the things that you're looking at? Because it's a very interesting point.
Yeah, so let me give you a couple of examples, right? So if you're dealing with a little larger companies, right? And your solution, let's say, costs more than $30,000, typically in some larger companies, there is a threshold after which, they have to get internally, they have to get approval, they have to go through reviews. So practically, if you're selling something that is more expensive, you're multiplying the stakeholder that you will have in the sales process, all right? So that's one thing. Second thing is, obviously, how decision process is in a larger company. The larger the company, the more meetings they have to have, sorry for my French, the more asses that need to be covered, and so on.
Good covered.
Right? And the higher you go in a company, the more politics you'll face. So that's why I ask you if you know exactly who you're targeting from that perspective.
Yes, if I'm looking now at the ecosystem, like if you look at the Herman Miller for buyer persona, I'm thinking more of an economical buyer and decision maker as a VP of sales who is taking care of the team because he's not hitting his quota.
Okay.
Like that's probably one of the biggest challenges. But at the same time, it needs to be used by the people from the bottom. Like one of the things that we understood is you have 3 layers. You have the process, the discipline, and then the tool.
Okay.
And most of the people don't have the first 2, so the third it's probably they will buy the tool and they will force a process through the tool, and it's quite challenging.
So coming back to your question, who are you meeting with in general, and you feel that you're not getting the sense of urgency?
At the moment, we are meeting a lot of RevOps people that are people in or sales enablement, but these are coming to us, and they are not from IT services. At the same time, we are discussing with BDR leaders from different companies, like business development manager, to say like this, that has people under him.
Okay, are the RevOps guys, who in the company, in the target company, is suffering the most because of the lack of your solution?
I think that the salespeople who are like spending a lot of time in SharePoint, Google Drive, all the knowledge-based platforms where they need to get inside and figure it out, like what document to send to that client to make the follow-up as soon as possible. And from the client stories, we heard stories from salespeople who procrastinated for 4 days. That's why I said the anxiety is the problem, because it takes like 3 days, and at the 3rd day he asked on Slack where I can find a case study about AI implementations for whatever industry, and the VP of sales answered, it's on the website. So you have this kind of problems or people not understanding, and it's quite hard to onboard new people because they need to know all the history of the company.
Okay, so
the suffering, it's the people from outside, from the outside.
Below, you're saying. So
yes.
I call these guys the victims. And one of the behavior that I see very rarely in sales organizations is going and trying to do homework with the victims before approaching a decision maker. Very, very rarely. And I would say maybe it's a trait of the sales superstars. And does it make sense to do it all the time? If your deal size is anywhere below 30K, it might be, very hard to do it at scale. But if it's above 30K, it makes all the sense in the world to do that investment. And that is also because most of the sales reps are targeting the same VP of sales, right? So that guy probably gets hundreds of emails, and lots of them,
rate is very low.
Yeah, and the chances that you get a response is very low, unless you can write something that is highly relatable to them, that it feels like absolutely unique to them as an email, and you know that because you're creating some sort of automation. But imagine if you could do that based on the feedback from people, from the victims, or to be introduced by a victim, because they know the pressure. So that's one thing.
To make the victim as the champion, to say like this.
A champion has to have influence, right?
Yeah.
That's the definition of the champion by medic methodology, if you want to take it. But that they're not necessarily champions, but they can be influencers. So you're kind of building a little momentum, and it's a learning thing. The other thing is, in the first meeting, to get a sense of urgency, and I'm not sure if you're doing this or to what extent, is how much do you find out about their agenda, which might be completely unrelated to what you're selling. And probably if you don't get enough, is because they don't trust you. Why would they give you the agenda, right? And then the other question is, how do you build trust in a first meeting to have that person give you the agenda, right? So how do you do that?
At the moment, one of the things that we did, and it was a very interesting experience, is to validate with synthetic user data, like trying to look at what's the life of VP of sales, because I wasn't VP of sales, and try to understand his life. And when we are doing discovery, we're pinpointing directly his challenges. Like one of the things that we got from synthetic data, it's the fact that they have this issue with control, and they don't have a problem with control.
Sorry, what is synthetic data?
Synthetic data, it's a platform, it's called Synthetic Users, and you kind of interview the ICP. It's not giving you the reality from the company, but it's giving you the reality of that person that it's learned through LLMs. And you get something like a mirror. When you go to talk with the VP of sales, you put him in front of himself a mirror, and he can say, no, we don't have this problem. And it's a better conversation starter because he feels understood.
That's absolutely. If you guys do that, I think that's a great
Yes.
step towards what you should be doing. The reason is this is one of the other challenges that I've seen a lot in terms of the way salespeople approach. So there is like the traditional way, like, hey, if I'm a sales guy, I should talk a lot, and you already know that's not good, right? Talking about a product, talking about your company, talking about you. The second thing is that second-grade sales reps are those that are going into a meeting and start asking millions of questions, but they don't have the right to ask those questions, right? And why would they answer you? And they get generic or no responses. Now, the third option is people like you maybe that come with real stories that that person in that role could relate to. And I call this the nodding head effect. So the best sign you have in a sales meeting, in a first sales meeting, is you get that nodding head when you're telling one of your stories. Now, the question is, if you have 10 stories, which one do you choose to tell, right?
One of the things is the fact that we changed the sales deck. Like, this is an old version where, like, you know, in startups you change it very fast. And the other one that we have, it starts with existing alternatives for the problem. And we are pinpointing like how they are solving their problem at the moment, and we are very specific. Like, we are discussing with someone who has, how it's called, Microsoft Enterprise. We are discussing that they are searching for the content in SharePoint. And it's very relatable because they are going each day, going to case studies on SharePoint to search for that.
Now, coming back to your deck, because this was the purpose of the entire discussion, do you use this deck in the first meeting?
At the moment, no, we used it, and the conversion rate was low. Now we are going through with more questions, like in the spin model.
Okay. So you're not using this, the connection. So one of the things that I'm suggesting in general is you have that connect first with the person that you're talking with, right, at an individual level.
I'm asking about vacations because it was the summer. And we shared vacation, weather, and if they have kids, we can relate to that.
So that's your connection strategy.
Yeah.
And then there's the context.
Yes.
And the reason I ask you this is, if you utilize everything that you said in terms of, is this you, is this your story, if you're utilizing in one of your decks, maybe not in this one, but in any of your decks.
We are putting, like I'm putting, as I said, I took the framework from April Dunford. I don't know if you heard about it, but she has the insights, alternative, existing alternatives, and then it's the perfect world. We are tailoring for the insights, as I said, the problems that we saw in other companies similar with them. And then we use existing alternatives for triggering different pain points and saying how other companies are fixing this problem.
Okay, so from what I hear, the only thing that may be missing from the process, that may be the chance, the cause for the lack of urgency, because I don't know if you answered this question, was.
No, I didn't. So probably.
Are you able to find out what is there on their agenda, the overall agenda, and what are their priorities, regardless of your business?
One of the mistakes that I make, and now I understand that it's a mistake that we did two big mistakes that probably the audience will understand. The first one, it was that we discussed with a lot of laggards instead of early adopters, that they said, we need this feature to start with you just to usher us out. And the second one was asking about implications, like to let them answer what they will going to lose if they don't implement our solution or to fix this problem.
And I think that's a great idea, and I think that's a great technique. What I'm asking is, there is something before that. So I said that one of the first thing is connect to the person. The second is get their context as individuals as well as their company. Typically, the company context, you get it by researching, right, the web, and you would be probably validating some of your research with the customer. That's one thing. Second thing about their individual context, that is, in their role, what are their current pressures? I have a framework that I'm using with my clients, which is called AFEF, which means ambitions, fears, expectations, and frustrations. And that means if you can't detect any of the four, then you're probably getting, these are drivers for urgency.
Yeah.
So that's my answer to your question. I'm not sure if I answered it specifically.
Now I
crisply.
understand it. You said it in the podcast, and now I get it.
Yeah. So that's my answer to your question. I think we're
Yes.
out of time as well. I hope I answered the question. I hope the conversation was useful for the others as well.
Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
Thank you.